1. How we doing, Mikkel?
We're doing good.
Doing good?
Yep.
All right. Audio's looking good. Yeah. Starting the podcast. This is your first podcast ever?
First ever.
First
yeah.
ever? You
Listen to a lot, but never been on one.
Did I know Daniel Anton? Do you remember him from the
Yep.
Denmark trip?
Yep.
Yeah, he was talking about not only doing like Danish rapping that he's like currently doing, but he was mentioning he was on like some sort of news radio podcast. Kind of thing?
Maybe I don't know about that one, but I know we have a local football team,
Mm-hmm.
and the coach there is American, and he had some podcast where he got people on from all over the world doing football in various places.
Are we talking like soccer?
American football.
American football. Okay.
American football.
Okay. So like you guys actually have American football like clubs out in Denmark?
Yeah, we have American football clubs. We have professional players in Denmark. I think the highest level in Denmark would equal to like college here, but
I mean, I wouldn't even consider the Canadian Football League like equal to a college level here.
I think we're not that good at it, but we have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys haven't been. When was that started? Right, like you guys haven't been playing football since like 1900s.
No,
Not American football at least.
No, we've not that long. But I don't know. I just found out about his podcast when he started. Yeah.
Yeah. I did start this. When did we start this? February 1st. February 21st, I think, was the day that we did the first episode. 2020. February 21st of 2020 was the first episode. But man, he is wigging out right now. God, the cat is just zipping around the living room. You want to open that up a little bit more for him? He's gonna keep whapping it with his tail.
Turbo cat.
Yeah, I know. Such a jerk sometimes. So, all right, I wanted to ask you this question on the podcast specifically because I want other people to hear it.
Oh no.
What is so this is your second time coming to America now.
Yep.
And the first time that you were exposed to Americans was when we went the ICC did the trip to HTX in Denmark?
So yeah, my first like real interaction with Americans, like getting to know you, was when I hosted you and the whole 2018 group.
2018, yeah.
Yep, came over and I was hanging out with you guys as much as possible.
Okay. Oh,
Hey,
there you
kitty
go.
cat.
What's up, buddy? Yeah, so that was like your first full like interaction face to face, and for a long extended period of time with Americans and stuff like that.
Also, I've just like been serving them at jobs, helping. So I don't count that.
Yeah, that's hard to. I mean, you're having like a customer service interaction.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't count that as like a true interaction. So then I did my study abroad over in Denmark for roughly 2 months.
Yep.
You hosted me for a week, and then we still hung out over the time that we were there. And then you came to Itasca in Grand Rapids. You came and visited us.
Yes, sir.
So, how was... Okay, so you've been to America before. You've interacted with Americans. You're pretty knowledgeable about the place. What is your favorite thing about America, and what is your least favorite thing? What do you hate the most about America, and what do you love the most?
So this is gonna be fun because it's the same thing.
Oh.
And I gotta say, guns. I love guns. I have great respect for guns, and I love the way you can just go have fun, shoot clay doves, clay pigeons, shoot dead things. But I hate the
Shoot dead things.
Yeah, trees, stuff. Like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't know if you found like a dead dog on the side of the road and you're like, ooh, target practice. Like,
No. But then again, I also hate the accessibility because you always gotta think about how you interact around people, because if somebody gets offended, you don't know if they are carrying or not.
you think someone's going to shoot you because they're offended?
Hey, I've heard people get shot for less.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, but you also have to imagine that there's 325 million people in this country.
I know, but like
And
it's just a mindset like people from countries that are not used to having guns have.
Mhm.
We try to like be a bit cautious because we're not used to guns in the
Mhm.
same way as you guys.
Oh no, I understand that. Yeah, and the best way to look at guns, from my perspective at least, is like the only way a gun will actually operate. And MythBusters literally proved this. This was an episode of MythBusters. They proved that even the most unstable weapons that exist on the market today, which is like notoriously like an automatic Mac 11, which is like usually has like a hair trigger on it. And it's like usually a lot of the times the trigger will get stuck on full auto and it'll just run through bullets until it runs out. So like Mac 11, what MythBusters actually did was they did tests to see if the Mac 11 would go off without the trigger being pulled distinctly, right? So they like throw it down a flight of stairs, do a bunch of different stuff with it, drop it from high places, and actually try and get the trigger to itself like launch off a bullet to see if someone can get shot, and it just doesn't happen.
Yep.
So
That I know. It's like I know people have to pull it on you,
yeah,
but
the person has to operate the gun.
Yep.
And so the way I look at a gun, I look at it like a tool.
yep.
And there's a famous Joe Rogan bit, and I love it. But he said, like, you can use a hammer to build a house, or you can use it to just hit yourself in the dick. Like,
Yep.
so
That's true.
like when it comes to guns, I don't think it's necessarily like a gun problem,
No.
and they're not. People think they're very accessible, but guns are actually pretty difficult to get in America. It takes a decent amount of time to get a gun. That's not a hunting rifle. Specifically. So do you know like the process of getting a gun in America at all?
I've heard stories, but isn't it like you have to go through a couple of background checks, and you have to check out, and then you have to go through some, at least for concealed carry,
Yeah.
you have to go through courses and pass the shooting
Mm-hmm.
and pass. Is it a written test where you have? Oh, is that just something I've heard?
For the concealed carry class, you usually do have to do a written
Yeah.
test. I think it depends state by state, but I know here in Minnesota specifically, for me to get my concealed carry permit, I had to do a class, which costed money, obviously. And then after the class was over, I had to do a written test, and then we had to go do a live shooting test.
Yep.
So we went to a target range, and he taught us stances, taught us quick draw, taught us how to draw the pistol, and we shot 200, 300 rounds or something like that. And yeah, that was pretty much the end of the day. So getting your concealed carry permit, it's pretty easy, but they also do a background, or not the people that do the class itself. So once you get the class done, you get a certification for it. And then you bring that certification to your local like sheriff's office.
Yep.
And then the sheriff does an extensive background check into all of like your criminal history, financial history, other things like that. And then after that, they'll give you your concealed carry permit,
Yep.
which takes about, I want to say the whole process took me about like 2.5, 3 weeks. And I come from a small town. So like even bigger cities, it can take up to like a month and a half to get that. But you don't need your concealed carry permit to actually purchase a lot of guns.
True.
You can get your permit to purchase, which is essentially just the background check. You go to the sheriff's office and you say, hey, I want to go buy a gun, so can I get my permit to purchase? This is the gun I want. And they say, okay, yeah, like we're going to do a background check. If you're a felon, you can't get it. If you're not a felon, you can. So it's pretty simple, but there's background checks. One thing that is a problem though in America with guns is that I think we do need like more extensive mental health checks, especially for like young people who have just turned like 18 and stuff like that, because they usually, when you just turn 18, you don't usually have like an actual criminal history. You'll have like a juvenile criminal history, which isn't considered in most gun laws. So if you're an asshole kid from the ages of 12 to 18, and you're stealing cars and robbing people, and they're like, you turn 18 and you're like, oh, I'm going to go buy a gun, like your criminal history is pretty much clean.
Yep.
So it's kind of grotesque. I don't know if that's changed, but that from my understanding, that's how it is.
Yeah. But I've only had fun with guns, and I try to not think about it when I walk around the street, because then I'm just scared all the time. I just try and mind my own business and then go about my day
Exactly.
and try and be respectful to everybody.
So in America, let's say, you know, you're really, really down bad on your luck, right? Like you move to America, you have nothing, you're on the verge of being homeless.
Yep.
Are you going to take it into your own hands to like start robbing people? Because you're
No.
like, exactly, right? Because it's a population that has guns like written into its history.
Yeah, and
There's
if
more guns in this country than there are people.
yeah, I've actually been talking to Dave about this, but I think it was Dave. But everywhere we've went or gone, there's like big signs of hiring now. So like people who are sitting, yeah, I need money. Yeah, how about you go try and apply? Because every place, I know it's probably not the best hire, but I think it's better than nothing. So, and I would rather go work at McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, something, than go out and make myself a criminal. I'll try to do that first.
Man, you want to be on the podcast too, Leo? You got to come over to the mics, buddy. Little jerk of a key. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, not a lot of people, especially people from Europe descent, like Germans, Italians, French, they're not going to make that kind of argument of like, oh, just like, you know, there's places hiring all over the place. Like try and get a job first before you resort to like stealing and stuff like that. But I don't know. There's like a big gray area when it comes to stealing and like just those like petty crimes in general. When it comes to like stealing, like somebody really could be on the verge of starvation and you know needing to get food for their kids or maybe even just themselves. And I think them taking like a can of soup or like, you know, some stuff from a store just to feed themselves for the day isn't necessarily something we should go about prosecuting. But then you look at California, they raised the actual felony thief cost to nearly $1,000, and what that allowed was people walking into stores and just taking less than $1,000 worth of stuff.
That's still a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a ton of stuff, but they'll just walk in and take it, and the cops won't do anything. It's a misdemeanor usually. If they get caught, the cops just write a ticket to the person.
Shit.
Yeah, they don't even arrest them anymore. So people literally walk into Walgreens and just grab shit and leave. And
you can get a lot of shit for $1,000.
Yeah, you can. And that's the craziest part about a lot of these laws, right? Like not one thing that you change in this society is going to fix all the problems. Like there's a lot of moving parts. So when you look at any sort of like societal problem, I feel like it comes, you got to look at it from many different angles.
You do,
many different angles.
You also have to think about America is such a big country, so I would almost consider every state its own little country.
Mm-hmm.
Like every state has different laws, different things that are allowed and not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So as a foreigner coming, it's very confusing because you can do one thing in one state, and then you can get a ticket for it just jumping the border to the next state.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I was told by Dave, don't go around with alcohol on the street because then you'll get a ticket. But if you walk over the bridge to Wisconsin, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They don't give a shit. Well, I mean, Wisconsin, like their lifeblood is liquor, so
I thought it was cheese.
cheese is I would say I don't know. Yeah, exactly. True. They sell off their cheese so that they can buy everybody else's booze.
Yep.
Yeah, it's that is a good point. And actually, not a lot of people are taught this in history. That is legitimately the foundation of what the Confederacy was. The Confederacy during the Civil War was this idea that the states actually had more power over themselves than the federal government had over the states. So if the federal government made a law and the states were like, that's fucking dumb.
Yeah, just like you told me yesterday in the car.
Oh, about New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the gun laws in New Hampshire. So for those for those of you that don't know right now, the Senate just got a bill that the House passed called the assault weapons ban. And it's essentially a ban that's like sweeping across all semi-automatic weapons of war, which is just nonsensical. They say like an AK-47, a semi-automatic AK-47 is more deadly than a 7.62 like hunting rifle. A semi-automatic 7.62 hunting rifle. They're the same fucking gun. One just looks more dangerous because every ISIS person is carrying one. Like, and they're not fully automatic. They're just semi-automatic rifles. So there's really like no difference between the two. But a lot of people who aren't exposed to guns don't understand that, and they look more threatening. And it's just pure media manipulation and propaganda in my eyes. But so the assault weapons ban, the one that's going through the House right now of 2022. Or the one that's going through the Senate right now. It already went through the House, sorry. But it would ban any gun that has over any semi-automatic pistol that has over a 10-round magazine. It would ban the possession, the sale, manufacture, or transfer of any semi-automatic shotgun that has more than 5 shells, any semi-automatic pistol that has more than 10 rounds, any semi-automatic rifle, just in general, like AR style. They call them assault weapons of war.
Yep.
And it's super weird. So it wouldn't ban like a 15-round semi-automatic M1 Garand that's shooting 30-06 shells, which is like, I want to say 1.5 times larger than a 5.56 round. So it's just far more dangerous, and it can hold up to like 20 rounds. And that's considered completely legal and safe. When you shoot a 30-06, that'll go through like 2 car doors and still be able to kill somebody. But then they're going to ban a 30-round mag 5.56, AR-15.
Yep.
It's so this like sweeping ban. A lot of experts say it's not going to get through the Senate, but I'm not sure, and you can't really be sure. Like I thought, Roe v. Wade was never going to be overturned, and I was proven completely wrong. So. Can never know really for sure, but what I was going to say is that New Hampshire actually passed a law that essentially tells the federal government to go fuck themselves. So it's I think it's NH like 1178 or something like that. It's one of their most recently written laws, and it essentially says that if the government comes out with a law or a rule that New Hampshire deems unconstitutional, New Hampshire's not going to deal with any sort of people that break that law. They're just not going to bother with them. They're like, oh yeah, that person lives, over there, but if you guys want them, you go fucking get them. Like, you use your money and your resources to go arrest a person for a law that we think is bullshit.
Yep.
And that's essentially what it is. And I think that every state should have that kind of power.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely sure if they do. So that's why like states and the federal government are constantly butting heads over who gets, to make the decisions for their own people. And yeah, so that assault weapons ban act is going to be scary if it passes. It's going to be really scary because a lot of guns, they say, I mean, I've read experts try to interpret the bill, or I've heard experts talk about the bill and trying to interpret it. One of the things that they did say was that if you already own these weapons, they will not be taken from you. But in the bill itself, nowhere does it say that the grandfather rule applies. It only applies for like weapons that are antique or non-operable or like older than like 180 years old or something like that.
Something you just hang on the wall and have as a piece.
Yeah, essentially what like the Pawn Star guys buy, right?
Yeah.
Like only those guns are allowed, I guess. Yeah, it's getting more and more of a problem. One thing that I did find really interesting about that, and that I do appreciate America's justice system for, is the fact that we have a jury of our peers who convict people. And one thing that was pretty interesting was that I read during Prohibition in the 1920s, when prosecutors would try and like convict moonshiners or people bootlegging alcohol and stuff like that.
Yep.
They couldn't get a conviction because the jury would say no. They'd be like, not guilty. We don't care what you say because we think this prohibition law is bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's gone all the way up until, like modern day. People still do it to this day for, like out in California, if you're caught with, a bunch of firearms that aren't registered to your name and they're like illegal in California, you get prosecuted. A lot of the times they can't get a conviction because because a lot of the people there, have common sense and they're like, yeah, this is stupid. The guy he just had a 30-round magazine in his trunk. Like, it wasn't even filled with bullets,
Yep.
Just the fact that he had it. Now he's in jail for 5 to 10 years, or prison for 5 to 10 years. It's ridiculous.
Guns aren't the problem, the person's the problem.
Exactly.
People are the problem.
People are the problem.
Exactly.
It's
So
always been that way.
and then they also talked about like marijuana laws too, in like really strict states. Like there was a case in Wisconsin where this guy was trafficking like 20 kilos of marijuana, and he claimed it was for personal use. And
That's a big daily.
they went through 5 different juries in 2 different counties because they couldn't find a jury that was willing to even consider hearing the case. Everyone was like, no, he's not guilty. And the cop and the prosecutor's just like, what the fuck do we do? Like, we can't get anyone to listen to this shit. Yeah, it's scary, man. So guns are what you love and what you hate about America.
Essentially. But that's just like from a foreigner's perspective. I also love the cars over here. Like, I love big, loud cars
Fuck yeah.
with a lot of horsepower and big V8s.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If for those who don't know, do you want to explain like how difficult it is to like get a big car in Denmark?
Okay, so you guys, a very common vehicle here I've seen is the Ford F-150.
Yeah.
Or cars in that size. Just for perspective, that car has either a 6-cylinder twin turbo or a V8.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the base motor. In Denmark, most cars have a V4 or a V3 engine.
3-cylinder?
3-cylinder engines. Yeah, so it's half the size of the motor.
Yeah.
Then again, your cars are very tall. Our normal cars are in the size of a BMW 3 Series, Mercedes C-Class.
Not even S-Class? Just C?
S-Class is a big car in Denmark.
What?
You also have to consider our taxes are ridiculous.
That's right.
The
No one's
S-Class cost so much money.
Oh god.
In Denmark. But we can say that next. But yeah, so you guys' cars are so big that they wouldn't fit on the Danish roads we have. So a normal F-150 would go over the middle line, the divider
Yeah.
for the lanes. It would go over to the opposite.
It's too wide, is what you're
It's too
saying?
wide.
What?
And parking spaces, you
Yeah.
would take up 1.5 with the truck, and that's just the length, not even considering the width
Oh
of the car.
god. Could you imagine trying to drive a truck in those? Yeah, that was one of the craziest parts about going to Denmark. I didn't realize how fucking small the roads are.
Yep.
The roads are like 2 sidewalks. That's it. Like each
Essentially.
lane is probably about like 3/4 of what we have.
Yep.
So what about buses?
Buses are similar to here, but they take up a lot of space on the.
Yeah, they get fucking close,
Yep.
dude. Like they are inches away from other cars when you're passing vehicles. You are within a foot of another vehicle.
And buses in Denmark are kind of like you guys in trucks. They don't give a fuck if they want to turn, they turn, and you gotta get out of the way.
Sounds like buses here. Sounds like
And
semis
semis.
too. Yeah, semis, man. Got to be wary around those motherfuckers.
But yeah, so if I wanted to get a F-150 at home, I would have to either import it from America, or I would have to special order it through a Ford dealership, which is a whole other process because it's not
Jesus.
it's not even, if you go to the Danish website of Ford, it's not even listed as a model.
You can only buy like a Ford Fiesta or a Focus or
No, you can
Hybrid.
you can buy like a Ford Ranger. That's the only truck we have from Ford.
I did see a lot of Ford Rangers when I was there.
Yeah, but they only use for like work. That's like construction workers and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you need a truck. And Ford Rangers are nice trucks. I kind of want one. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I mean, you guys don't have a whole lot of like real estate in Denmark. Like, there's not a lot of room.
No, you
So
can get
you-
from one end of Denmark to the other in 4 hours of car ride.
4 hours. That's it,
That's it.
bro. That's like what it takes for me to get from like here to a different state.
Yep.
That's to Fargo.
Yeah, that's pretty much us to like from here to Fargo. It's
Yep.
it's about 4 hours. So holy shit! And we're pretty much going straight. Like it's a straight 70 mile an hour the whole time shot.
Yep.
So it takes about like 4 hours to get from like. What would you say it would take to get from Svendborg to Skane, the top of Denmark? What would you say it would take?
From Svendborg, I think it's a 3-hour car ride.
Oh my god! It was like a 7-hour train ride.
But yeah, you also have to like, you have to switch a lot and have layovers and stuff.
yeah, that's a good point.
In a car, you can just take it straight.
No shit. So, So you mentioned taxes
Oh
on
my
vehicles. Mention taxes. So break down like the Danish tax system if you're able. Like
Okay.
as a regular person that works in Denmark, what are you paying in taxes, or what are you paying? Like when you buy something, what are you paying in taxes for that, or
Okay, so
on your paycheck and property stuff like that?
yeah, so we can start with what you have to pay on your like paycheck. So for normal taxes, I'm a student right now, so I have low tax. I pay 40%,
40%.
and that's the lowest rate.
But here's the thing: he's a student who also gets paid by the government.
Yeah, I get $1,000 American dollars a month from the government to go to school, to live off. Plus, my education is free. Hospitals free.
Housing is free.
No.
Oh fuck! Well, what the fuck, Denmark? What are you doing
How are they gonna make their money?
Yeah.
by giving out half the money that they promised? That they promised people.
40%
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 40% is the low rate. My dad, who is taxed the highest rate because he makes, I don't know, but there's like a line. I think it's when you make more than 50 grand a year American dollars again, you move to the high end, which is 50 to 55 depending on your,
Percentage, like percentage of taxes taken out of your paycheck.
55%.
55.
55.
So if I get a check for $100,000, they're gonna be like 55 grand of that is mine, big hoss.
Yep.
Oh Jesus Christ! Oh
and,
my
and
God!
my dad did get a big bonus once, and he was like, "Yep, I think I just paid my children's school for." Yeah.
So don't win the lottery over there.
Yeah.
That's different. The lottery is non-taxable because it's lottery winning. So you take home 100% of what you win in the lottery.
What? That's way different than here. They actually.
They tax you more if you win the lottery here.
Yeah, if you win the lottery here, I think it depends on how much it is. But if you were to win like the Mega Millions, if you won like 100 million, I think they take something close to like 50%.
Yep. In Denmark, all winnings are non-taxable.
So do you guys have casinos in Denmark?
That might be different, but lottery is.
Okay.
But I think casinos, that's like gray area because who knows what you went in with and who knows what you're going to go out with. Are you going to like tell the government, yeah, I just made a 100 grand in the casino? No, that's stupid. Why would you tell them that?
Well,
Just keep the money and
Money laundering. really.
So
isn't everything.
So is Denmark going to go the route that the U.S. just did? They're going to hire 87,000 government agents with rifles to patrol the casinos and make sure that people are reporting their fucking $10 winnings and
No.
$20 bets and shit like that. Their $600 Venmo transactions.
I don't think so, no.
Fucking ridiculous, man.
So that's just a paycheck.
Okay.
Then So I have to pay 40% of my earnings every year, but then you also have like a deductible every year. So like money you don't have to pay tax on.
Okay.
So I spread that out throughout the whole year. So I take home like almost all the money I get from the government for going to school.
Okay.
I think I pay like they take like a sixth of what they give me every month.
Oh, okay. So it's like, it's kind of like back taxes without having to give your money to the government and then get money back.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we have like, obviously when you file for taxes, a lot of the times the government's going to be like, oh yeah, you get, $3,000 back, and everyone's like,
yeah,
woo.
we also do that.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's a lot of like breaks within there depending on what you're doing.
And then there is a lot of like, if you do this, you get some benefits here and there.
Uh-huh.
So like a lot of people who worked with COVID testing and stuff, they were essentially told, yeah, you don't have to pay taxes for the years you worked as a COVID fighter.
Oh, no shit.
So like some people would take home tons of money and not having to pay tax on it because the government was like, yeah, why would you?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to pay taxes if I was a frontline worker, if I was a nurse or something. Man, they raked in the dough, though. They took home some serious money then.
Yeah, maybe. I don't.
But obviously they were doing something essential, so
Yeah.
that's fair.
Still better than here.
Yeah. So, okay, so we got the income tax. What about, like, taxes on vehicles? Because I know that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so it's gone down since you were over.
Okay, that's good.
Now we only pay 150% in taxes on the car.
Fucking Christ, 150. So you're telling me if a car is $50,000, the sticker price says $50K.
Yep. Then you have to put 150% on top of that, and that's what you pay.
So you pay another $75K.
Yep.
On top of it. So you'd pay $125,000 for a $50,000 car.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. And that's to
get the pink slips.
The pink slip.
Yeah, the ownership.
Oh, okay. But that is, those are like the most green vehicles, correct? Those are like electric vehicles or maybe hybrids.
No. So like that's like just normal vehicles.
Okay.
If you were to get a Nissan Leaf,
Yeah.
I think it's only 80%.
Oh, okay.
So they try to make you go green, but here comes the fun part. They made it so, depending on the size of the electric car,
yeah.
it has a switch from 80% to 150, and they made it so Tesla, no matter which model it is, just falls to the big side.
Oh. Is that because they've been around for so long? Is that
No,
why?
for some reason it's because they think Tesla is too American and flashy. When they came out, yeah.
What?
Yeah. So for some reason the Danish government have tried to make people not buy Teslas. I can't tell you why, but they always fall in the biggest tax category.
Well, they're making Teslas in Germany right now. Like, that's a part of the EU. Aren't you guys, isn't like the country of Denmark in support of that? Or
I think so, and I think I haven't read up on the laws lately, but I think that a lot of people were kind of irritated by it, so I think Tesla has gone to the lower rate.
Okay.
But last time I checked it was like that.
Holy shit. That is, that is bananas, dude.
Yeah, and that's only for buying the ownership of the car. Then you have to do all the taxes on the car afterwards. So green tax, road tax, all of that shit.
What? That's not included in the 150% you give the government right away?
Nope.
That's not included in the price and half of a car again? Like,
nope. That's not included.
The car, but like not really.
That is wild.
Yeah. So they have like something called green tax.
Yeah.
So the further your car goes per gallon, yeah, the better range you get, the cheaper the green tax will be.
Mm-hmm.
So just consider a V8.
That's impossible. No one can afford that in Denmark. Jeff Bezos would go bankrupt in Denmark with that price. I'm trying to get a V8 Dodge Ram, and the government's like, all right, we're gonna need that big ass yacht you just built in Holland, and we need Amazon too for you to get that car.
The yacht where they had to destroy a whole ass bridge.
Yeah, exactly. that is fucking nanners. But so do you? Let me ask a generalized question. Do you Danes as a whole feel like your taxes are beneficial to the people rather than the government?
So like we see the benefits. We still think it's too much, but I think everybody thinks it's too much in like their own way. But we're grateful to be able to take an education for free. Like I don't have to worry about, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a semester, and I'm gonna spend 5,000 here, and then do it again and again and again until I'm done.
Yeah, the American education system.
So yeah, that's also that's also something that's nice, because if I found something I didn't want to do, I could just drop out and not think, oh yeah, I just spent I don't know how much money on something I'm not gonna use.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just checking the recording time. Why does that say?
It actually hasn't been recording this whole time.
I would.
It's at 30-some minutes.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
It's like cut off.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that's
sure.
it's minutes. That's right, not seconds. My bad. My bad.
But
worries.
yeah, and like we don't have to think about it when we go to the hospital. We just go in, get our care, and then go out again.
Okay. So would you? Are the hospitals in Denmark efficient? Would you say
Yeah,
they're good? They're efficient.
they're good.
Okay.
So a lot of people like to shit on the hospital, but that's just because there's not enough people working there. They can't find enough people to work at the hospital.
Especially now.
Especially now. But the times I've had to use the hospital, I can't complain.
Okay.
Like,
So-
yeah, I've only gotten good care, and they take care of you. So once they forgot to take some X-ray images of me, so they just kept me on the X-ray day and put me in front of some other people who had times, just to get me out.
Just to get you out of the hospital. I think that's probably their number one priority, right? Like they're like, get this person out so we can get, because more people are always coming in.
They want to free up beds, but if you can't go, you're not told to go. But
Okay. Well, as long as the people of Denmark, that's one thing when it comes to taxes for me that I always consider, right? Like Minnesota notoriously has high taxes, similar to that of, California or New York.
which is not high.
Okay, sorry. High in, with respect to other states in the U.S. Yeah, so I can't say high taxes to you because you're over there paying 55%.
Yeah, I'm also irritated every time I hear an American say, "Oh, gas is so expensive." Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
I paid double your guys' price
Yeah.
for same amount of gas. Shut up.
Yeah, but your cars get better gas mileage too.
Well, they have to.
better gas mileage. Yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise the
We
government's going to take your firstborn child.
150%.
Dave and I did the calculations the other day with Noah Eriksson. You remember
Yep.
him? Yep. So we found out that your truck does around 8.5 kilometers per liter, right? Something around there.
What does it get per gallon?
16.
16 per gallon. I would say you'd probably get. That is shit. I would say, what is that? 16 miles per gallon. That's like roughly 4.2 miles per liter. So that's around 8 kilometers per liter.
6.8 kilometers per liter.
6.8.
6.8. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right.
My dad's new BMW hybrid 3-cylinder.
Sorry.
It gets 47 kilometers per liter. That's 117.5 miles per gallon.
Holy fuck. Can I get where did he get that? I want to
So
buy
now you're
that.
not gagging?
Now I'm not gagging because like if I can drive across state on a tank of gas, like you can't beat that, especially with prices as they are right now for us Americans, right? Like we're not used to this high gas
and
high gas
that's
prices.
as long as it still has some battery lift. When it's just running on pure gas, 27 kilometers per liter.
So about half, around like 50,
Yeah.
50 miles to the gallon. Damn, 55, 57.
Still better than most cars, theory.
That's phenomenal. My car gets about, I want to say like 18 miles to the gallon because it's a fucking guzzling Buick. That was made like 16 years ago. So, man, that is bananas to think about. But then you guys have, but that car's got to be real small, right? Like that BMW is pretty tiny.
It's a BMW 3 Series. BMW 330 E.
330e.
That's a decent sized car.
Yeah, it's not bad. It ain't no Dodge Ram though.
No, it's not.
Okay, get a truck to last that long.
Yeah, get a truck to get that mileage. That would be crazy.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. That is right. So you got small roads in Denmark. You guys notoriously have small houses too, compact spaces.
I wouldn't say the houses are small, but we live close.
Okay, so small yards then.
It depends on the area. So like where I live in the third biggest city of Denmark, just for reference. Odense.
Okay.
So you have Copenhagen, the capital. That's number 1. Then you have Aarhus. That's number 2.
What?
Aarhus.
Aarhus?
That's the one just on the nose of Denmark.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the second biggest. And then Odense is number 3. That's the middle of Fyn.
The island of Fyn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Little northern there. But yeah, there you can get like houses equal to the one we're in right now.
Okay.
And yeah, that's like a small house, but it's the size of the house here inside. Then you just have a little yard in front and then back.
Yeah, but you don't have those like giant ass, $500,000 or $500,000 mansions that we do here.
We do.
You guys do?
You just don't see them because they are put away in private areas where guards
Whoa.
are at the gates and stuff.
Armed guards?
Probably some places, yeah.
Well, yeah, I would at least hope so for government places and stuff like that. Man, so, here we just have, like, if you were to go, for example, where we are in Eden Prairie, kind of like, this is a small, like, townhome community.
Yeah.
But if you were to go across Flying Cloud Drive and go over there to, like, that bigger community, though all those houses are pretty massive. I would say, like, 4, 5, 6 bedroom houses.
Yep.
Couple thousand square feet, 3,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Bathroom for every bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have that. So
You have that, but do you have as many?
I think every big city has it.
Okay.
And yeah, when you get out to the country, people usually have a bit more land than else.
Farming purposes and
Yeah, and
ranches.
and some places are like old farming places that people just buy to have a lot of room.
Oh, so they don't even
Space.
use it to farm anymore?
Nope.
They're just like, I just
Yeah.
need a big yard.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Fuck yeah, that's what I like to hear. You're not going to move to America?
Maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see where the future takes me. But I'm going for chemical and biotechnology engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I know, there's not that much here, at least here in Minnesota.
Yeah, not a whole lot in Minnesota. If you're going to do chemical, you'd probably be put over on, like, if you wanted to work like in the pharmaceutical industry, you'd probably be put in like on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Or the South, yeah. East Coast or the South. And then, like, chemical, you really are either put into, like, the oil, pharmaceutical, or, like, chemical processing industry. And those fall, like, on the major coasts. We do a lot of paper products around in Minnesota.
True.
But
true.
It's not as abundant
No.
of positions. I know there's, in my hometown of Cloquet, there's a place called SAPI, South African Paper Processing, something.
but instead of living here, I'll just use some of my 6 weeks of vacation a year to come and visit you guys.
All right. Well, we don't need to talk about workers' rights in the U.S. compared to Europe. You guys got us beat there. All right.
Yep.
But I mean, who invents all the cool shit? You know, it just comes from
China.
No, we invent it. China just copies it and makes it cheaper because they have slaves. Child labor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys don't work 40-hour weeks. Don't you guys work 36-hour weeks?
The norm is 37 and a half.
37 and a half. Oh, extra 30 minutes. No, I'm kidding.
And I'm like 37 hours a week.
37?
Yeah.
That's
like the normal.
And that's what, like 7 hours a day and then like a half day on Friday? Or
yeah,
8 hours
like
a day?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
My dad works 60 hours a week.
Oh, so I guess it depends.
It depends on the field you're in.
But average is 37 and a half. Okay. And then you guys get a year of maternity and paternity leave?
11 months.
11 months?
Yeah, and
Jesus Christ.
and
And that's paid?
and that's paid, fully paid by the government.
Fully paid by the government. So it's not the company that gives you that time.
It's a mix between government and because the government will make you the company will pay you, but the government will help some. Yeah, it's a whole other thing I haven't put myself into and looked into, but.
Well, I mean, you don't have any kids yet, so I
No.
mean, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to
But yeah,
worry about that.
and out of those 11 months, the father it's just been passed. The father has to take 11 weeks of that, and if he doesn't take the 11 weeks, those just go to waste.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that's to try and get more kids to be more attached to their father, because, yeah.
Early on in.
Turn out like Americans here without a dad.
Yeah, not having a father in this country is actually a big problem. People raised in like single mother households and stuff like that. Like there are
And
legitimate.
shout out to those girls. They are freaking working their butts off.
Oh yeah, I mean my mom was a single mother pretty much the entire time. The entire time that I grew up and my sisters grew up. She did it all on her own. She worked her ass off and
Big respect.
Came home and still made us dinner and put us to bed and got us up in the morning for school and went to work and worked all day and put us in sports and stuff like that. So just so she could actually pick us up after school, because obviously we're not in school for the amount of time that she was working every day. So huge hats off to that. But the problem is when there have been legitimate studies done where people who are born or raised in single parent homes are far worse off than people that are raised in like the nuclear family homes.
True.
And that's just general. Obviously, there's specific cases on either side. Like my mom was a great mother, and she still allowed
you turned
me.
out great.
Yeah, you. Well, a lot
Some
of
would
people.
say.
A lot of people might disagree. Yeah. Not. I'm not.
But yeah,
killing people.
there's always the cases in the end. But like the average person is better off with two parents. Than one.
Yeah, because people say a lot of things about like men and women are completely equal in every way, and that's just in my eyes that's not true. There's things when it comes to rights. I think that men and women should have the same rights. I don't think that women shouldn't be able to do something that a man can do when it comes to like professional life or just entertainment or anything along those lines. They should be able to have all the same freedoms. Everybody across the board should have all the same freedoms. But in the aspect of saying that women and men are the exact same is just completely ignorant. I mean, we have literal biological differences.
Yep.
I mean, male bone structure is much denser than women. It's much larger than women's. It's the capacity to grow muscle on men is much different than a capacity for women to grow muscle. And like you said, obviously there's cases on either side with the fringe, right?
Yeah.
Like there's massively jacked women that could beat the fucking shit out of me. And then there's, tiny scrawny men that can't really have too much of like a threatening impact. So it on either end, like they make this case, the woke culture in specific makes this case that men and women are completely the same, and it's just not true. No. It's not true. It's just
Women have titties.
It's just a fallacy. Women have titties. They're the caretakers. Like a man cannot have a child.
Not
alone.
by himself.
No,
Nope.
it requires a man and a woman. It requires a sperm and an egg.
Yep.
And that's how literally every person has ever been born on this planet ever.
Yes.
And it's kind of grotesque in a way how that ideology is feeding its way into our public school systems, and it's falling into the hands of really impressionable children. See, the problem with kids is like kids can't consent to anything because they're a child. Their frontal lobe isn't developed enough to have like long-term decision-making thought processes, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're in a class of fourth graders and one of the fourth graders goes up and shoves another kid, and you'll see the teacher walk up to the kid and be like, "Why did you do that?" And the kid will just stare at him blankly because they're like, they didn't think about the repercussions of shoving their friend.
Nope.
They didn't think about it because their frontal lobe just isn't developed enough to make those decisions.
Yeah. And I have nothing against like trans people or bi or anything.
No.
But I think you should be of age before you were able to like change gender, because it's not reversible.
Yeah, transition.
Well, yeah. When it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to like think of everything before you do it.
Uh-huh.
Like in Denmark right now, there is I would almost call it reality TV where they follow like transgender kids. They follow a 4-year-old who switched.
Transitioned?
Yeah.
Well,
4-year-old.
But like, did they get the medical procedure and everything? Like they got
They're in the works of it.
they're in the works of it. So
Yeah.
right now they're probably taking hormonal blockers,
Yeah.
and if it's from male to female, they're taking estrogen.
Yeah.
4 years old?
4 years old.
That's child abuse. That's fucking child abuse.
So
That's
being able to wear what you want is cool, but like, don't bring in like pills and shit when you're that young.
yeah, like
I have a 4 or 6-year-old.
4 or 6. That you're saying the kid,
I haven't watched it, but
Yeah.
it's a young child.
and that's Danish based. That's like a TV show that's like takes a reality TV show that takes place in Denmark.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
What kind of sick fuck doctor would be like, yeah, I'm gonna cut your kid's balls off, and
I don't know.
give
But
them a
They're going through all the psychological works and everything, like getting psychologically tested and stuff.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah.
Kids are
That's
super.
too early for me.
Kids are super impressionable.
Yep.
Like a kid, they follow whatever the people that are raising them are doing, right? Like that's why when you like, let's say a kid grows up in or gets born into like a KKK member family, right? Like back in the 1960s, the kid goes to school with a black kid, and then he comes home and says, "Daddy, like we have the first African American kid in our class," and he freaks out and he's like, "No, they're bad people. They're this and that." That kid is going to go to school the next day and not like that kid because that's what their father had said.
Yep.
They're super impressionable even when it's wrong.
Yeah. So I don't remember the guy's name, but there's a guy going viral from time to time. He's a Jewish guy, I think.
He's a Jew.
But he talks a lot of, especially on this.
Are you talking about Ben Shapiro?
Probably. I can't remember his
He's got like black hair, black eyebrows. He talks really fast.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's a guy.
Really short, mousy looking guy.
Yeah.
I love Ben Shapiro. He's got a really good.
But he told a story where he was like his little 4-year-old boy wanted to wear, I think it was a dress and some high heels or something because his sister was doing it.
Yeah.
So he was like, "No, you're not gonna wear that." Then he went out and bought him like a cowboy jacket and some boots, and he would rather wear that. And I'm like, yeah, because you told him to do what he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wanted to do that afterwards because he thought that was more fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just to show like kids are so easily made to think other things. Just
Well, they're impressionable.
yeah.
I mean, kids. If you think about it, kids don't know anything.
Nothing.
So they need like guidance. They need people to tell them what, the difference between right and wrong. And like that's where like nature versus nurture comes in, and like raising a child, right? Like we don't have any studies on putting kids in a box from when they were born till they were 18, pulling them out and being like, "What do you think about abortion?" Like we don't have those we don't have like any sort of information like that. So it's hard to say how much nurture impacts a child versus nature. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's kids. We know for a fact that kids are impressionable.
Yep.
They don't have that long-term decision-making mentality. And when you're willing to transition children at such a young and impressionable age, that almost gets into the realm of removing the aspect of children cannot consent.
But that's the result of all of the equality things and LGBT plus. I have nothing against the community, but I think people should be a bit older before you start doing all of this that shit, because too young.
too young. I completely agree. And like I was saying, when you get into the consent aspect of it, when you're saying that a child is able to make the decisions that will ultimately affect them for the rest of their entire lives. Like when you get a sex change operation, and this was something I didn't really understand until I saw a clip from a documentary that was made by Matt Walsh. It's called "What Is a Woman?" He interviewed a woman that transitioned to a man, and this person talked about how like the whole process was extremely like quick, and there was not a whole lot of detail talked about like the side effects or anything of that nature. This person is no longer able to orgasm. This person's no longer able to feel anything down there. They have constant infections. The man talked about how he's probably not going to live very long because he transitioned in his mid-20s. He's now in his mid-30s. They're expecting he'll probably die by his 40s from an infection. It's you're mutilating your body. You are specifically mutilating one of the most important aspects of your body at such a young age. So when you're allowing kids to make that call about their life, you're essentially saying a child can consent to life-altering decisions, and that gets into like pedophilia. That gets to the point where if you were to pass something that says children can consent, you're essentially saying that it's okay to have sex with 6-year-olds. It gets into this very crazy realm of when you let people, and obviously there's going to be people who try and counteract that argument by saying, oh, that'll never happen, or that's like too crazy. But we thought about, if you look back 5, 10, 15 years ago, all these ideas were stuck in like the liberal arts college areas. And a lot of the people who would hear about it, they're like, oh, why do you care about like what college kids think? They're just college kids. That doesn't apply to the real world. Well, guess what, motherfucker? Those college kids graduated. They got jobs in industry. Now they're controlling a lot of what we see on television and what we see in like the world. And the narrative got pushed to real life. So now you're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing 4-year-old transgender kids. You're seeing you're seeing kids in public schools in California getting groomed by their homosexual teachers. You let someone take a certain amount of freedom with anything. It could be literally anything, right? Like if we had just a sweeping gun law that said all guns are available, right? You're going to have a rocket launcher that blows up Target probably next week.
Yeah,
like, there's bads with laws, right?
Yeah, there's good and bads with everything.
Exactly.
And again, I don't have anything against transgender people, homosexual people, nothing. I feel it's valid. They shouldn't be allowed. Like they should be allowed on the same premise as everybody else.
They should be able to get married. They should be able to, be who they are.
Yeah, and again, nothing against them. I just want them to be of age before they have to make big decisions. Like being gay, fine. You don't alter your body. Yeah, maybe you'll try some stuff and find out that's not for you. But that like it doesn't hurt you. But altering your body just because you're told to or made into thinking you want to, you have to be of a certain age before that's possible.
Absolutely. I entirely agree with that. It is.
If you're under 18, like your parents have to sign consent forms, like for the hospital and shit.
Your parents, yeah, they have to sign consent forms for the hospital. You can't drive until you're 16. You can't drink until you're 21. You're not allowed to get tobacco in most places until you're 21 or 18.
But you can
you
get
can't.
a knife at 6.
16, yes.
16.
You can't join the military without parents' consent unless you're, 18 years old. That's a life-altering decision, right?
But then you can
And
get
it
sex change
falls into the.
underage.
If you were mic'd up, I would love to have you talk more, but I guarantee you probably no one's hearing what you're saying. So
So
that's
you're reiterating.
yeah. So I'm trying my best, but
Yes, you still have to get like parents' consent forms and stuff in Denmark, but
but then the parents are the ones that put the idea into the kid's head that
Probably.
What's the
They're
age
not.
limit in Denmark for like having to get parents' consent?
when you're 18 years of age,
Okay.
you can make your own decisions
but the age of consent in Denmark is 15, right?
for sex, but you're an adult at 18.
For sex, it's 15.
15.
That's pretty young.
That's similar to here.
That's pretty young. Well, it's the Romeo and Juliet law here. So in the state of Minnesota in particular, if you're 16 and your boyfriend, let's say you're a 16-year-old girl and your boyfriend is 22, that's acceptable because you're within a certain age range. But if you're 16, you can't get with somebody that's like in their 30s unless I think you either have to get parents' consent or it's considered like statutory rape. But
It is considered.
yeah, it's statutory rape. But you like the age of consent in the United States is pretty much 18.
Yeah.
Pretty much 18 everywhere, I would say.
Denmark, it's 15, and then every case is different, right?
Yeah,
So
of course.
every case is handled with the respect it needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Super
But
cool.
yeah, if there's consent and you're above 15, go right ahead.
And yeah, that's. I mean, you guys look at it differently than we do, right? Like you guys look at alcohol a lot differently than Americans do. Like in America, it's pretty much like you need to be 21 to either purchase, consume, or possess alcohol.
Yeah.
Denmark, it's a lot different.
Most Danes start at 14.
14?
Yeah. And that's when most people... I didn't start until I was 17. But most people start at the age of like 14, 15. That's when parents are like, yeah, you're going to be going to parties now, so I'd rather drink you at home first so you know how it feels, than having to come pick you up piss drunk in a forest somewhere.
Yeah. That's... I mean, I would say that's more in line with like small town America.
Yeah.
They do that shit in, fucking Cloquet and
Wisconsin, at
Grand
bars,
Rapids.
you can drink at a bar with your parent.
Mm-hmm. That's if you're over 12.
Yeah.
That's the craziest part. You can be 12 years old in Wisconsin and drink with your family
Cool.
at a bar.
But yeah, so we can buy alcohol from the age of 16.
16?
Yep.
But you can't buy hard alcohol.
You can buy beer and everything under 16.7% alcohol.
God,
So that's some shots and stuff.
that would be nice. Being 16 years old, let's go get a fucking beer. But you have to be 18 to go to the bars, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, that's a different mentality. But then you guys aren't able to drive until you're 18, right?
You can get you can get your driver's license at 17, but then you have to have a person that's above 30, have more than 5 years of experience driving. No. Yeah, something like that. To your right at all times.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like our learner's permit.
Yeah,
It's kind of a learner's permit.
it's like a learner's permit. So you do that at 17, and then 18 you get your full license. And
Then you
Is-
can just go by yourself.
do you have to get your learner's permit first before you get your driver's license?
It's the same license.
Oh.
You just get your driver's license, but you have to have some paperwork in the car.
Oh. Okay. But it's not like let's say you're 19 and you're like I want to go get my license. You can go get your license without getting your permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then just get a normal license.
Okay.
So the 17 one is just if you want to get it early.
Okay.
And then you have to have it. Most people are just having their parents ride shotgun.
That makes sense. But I guess, like, whenever somebody talks about, like, alcohol laws when it comes to, you know, the age of purchasing and consuming alcohol in the U.S. compared to, like, Europe, right? They always kind of, like, factor in the age of driving as well. Because, like, you can drive here when you're 16.
Yep.
But you can't buy alcohol till you're 21.
Which is weird to me.
It's weird to you, but then the fact that you guys can't drive until you're 18, but you can, you know, buy alcohol when you're 16. You could be pissed drunk walking down the street when you're 14, and as long as you said your parents were with you, like, you're not going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
That's pretty weird to me. So, I mean...
and I can go around any street and just drink openly.
In Denmark, you can just walk around with booze and no one gives a fuck?
I might get some weird looks, but nobody gives us flying shit.
Well, I guess when it comes to, like, laws, you're not going to get in trouble for it, but it's frowned upon.
As long as you don't bother people. If I go around being...
Can't be pissing on people.
If I go around and harass people, people might not be happy with me, but if I just mind my own business, walking around pissed drunk, it's just fine. Might come up to me and be like, "Hey, you want to go home and sleep?"
Oh yeah, and bring you home and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just make sure I'm okay. But
yeah, that actually was the real interesting part. Like when I when I got picked up by the cops in Denmark after I drank a whole bottle of whiskey. It was a rough night.
You haven't told me that story.
You weren't there? It was when we went to it was me. I think I'm fairly certain you were there with us, Mikkel. It was Bryn.
I might have been there, but I
we
didn't
go
know you got picked up by the cops.
Yeah. It was when we went on a. So I was too rowdy. So I drank a whole liter of whiskey to myself.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And I blacked out. I don't remember anything of that. And when I came to, we were walking on like a path, like a bike path.
Yep.
We were like walking down the road, and I was like running up ahead, and Bryn was freaking out because everyone was drunk and I was acting really weird, and I was like running away from people. I don't know. I caused some problems. I tackled Martin.
I might have been there.
Yeah, you probably.
I think I was, but I think I was to the back and just been like, "Tiras, what the fuck you doing?"
and Bryn called the cops on me.
Oh my God.
They came and they found me and they were like, you know, how are you doing, this and that. And I thought I was being arrested, but all they did was just pick me up and bring me back.
Yeah, exactly.
They just dropped me off. And I was actually crying in the cop car because I thought I got arrested in Denmark. And in my mind, it was like getting arrested in like the Soviet Union, Russia. Like,
oh my God.
And I was going to be in prison for the rest of my life and be tortured, you know, fucking jumper cables in my nipples and stuff like that. So
Paperwork to deal with.
Yeah, they straight up, like, the cop, the dude cop in the car, he just like got so frustrated because it was a male and female, and I think the female was driving, and the guy just got like pissed off, and he's like, "You're not arrested, like, we're just bringing you back, shut up." And I was like, okay. Yeah, no, they probably don't like it. I probably left a bad taste in their mouth about Americans.
No, they probably just went home to the station and had a laugh about you.
Yeah.
Made fun of you.
Probably true.
You're now in a training video.
How to deal with a drunk American on our lands.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it seems like the cops in Denmark have like way bigger fish to fry than dealing with people who are like speeding or drunk and disorderly.
You also have to factor in how few cops there are.
Yeah.
Compared to here.
Well, I mean, we have a lot more people though.
Yeah, but
would you say like percentage-wise, there's a lot less cops in Denmark? David, can you look that up for us?
So like,
what's like the population percentage of like police officers in Denmark?
It's I can tell you it's low.
It's low.
Yeah.
Police of Denmark. Huh.
They got a whole ass Wikipedia.
They got a whole ass Wikipedia. They do. That's funny. Yeah, that's. So it goes cops by country. Oh, thank God it's. So there's. Yeah, you want to scroll back up to the top. Rate.
100,000 people.
So
Yeah.
what was that? 117. 196.
Yep.
196 cops per 100,000 people.
Yep.
What's the United States?
239.
Oh, so it's pretty comparable. It's pretty close. I mean, on average, right? Like, we have a lot more cops because we just have a lot more people.
Yeah.
But it's, comparable into the, rate of how many cops there are. Granted, we have, per 100,000 people, we have an extra 50.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, that's...
You see the cops a lot more here than in Denmark.
Well, yeah, because they're trying to entrap people and give them useless, fucking pettyless crime tickets so that they can get funding. Because obviously the police department in Denmark is completely funded by the state. Yeah. And then whatever, like if they pull over a drug lord that's got $1 million cash in his trunk, they're going to just take that and give it and use it.
Yeah, and they just passed a bullshit law in Denmark.
More laws.
For what you call like reckless driving.
Mm-hmm.
So if they deem you drive recklessly, they'll impound your car, take the ownership, and sell it off in an auction.
They would do that here too, but they would give you a ticket first. But if you were caught with like 2 or 3 reckless driving tickets, they'll eventually take your car.
This is the first.
It's the first offense?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you went over the white line a little too many times. Like, give me your fucking keys.
What? Basically, like, yeah. So there's
what?
There was a story of a guy. He was driving his newly purchased Lamborghini home, and he had a heavy foot. He was caught driving. Okay, he was driving quite fast, 212 kilometers an hour. That's fast.
We need the conversion. We need a conversion, Dave, man.
130 miles an hour, I think.
Oh, that's not bad. I did that in my fucking Honda Civic.
Yeah. So this is a brand new Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
It got impounded. The police took ownership of it. Boom.
And that was it. He was just out of Lambo.
Now he's just out of Lambo.
You have to then pay fines on it too.
He probably had to pay a fine and stuff, but he can't get it back.
Could he buy it back at auction?
Then he would have to fight for it at auction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he'll have to. I mean, he already lost an arm and a leg paying probably 150% in taxes on that bitch.
Definitely not.
$600,000 Lambo. They're like, $900,000 to us, please, a greedy government. I find that to be just like disgusting. But then, like, you guys don't pay any taxes on like bicycles. You don't pay any taxes on like any sort of transportation that doesn't have a motor.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, you do?
That's just consumer taxes.
Oh, so you pay consumer taxes too?
Yeah.
Shit, man. Dude, the government is taking your money at every turn, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
Christ. The U.S. is slowly getting to that point, I feel like.
Not slowly, they are.
They're getting there, man, and it's scary.
That's the only thing nice about Minnesota and our taxes, that we don't have taxes on clothes or food.
Yeah. See, oh, God. Fucking. But then you don't. You never went to Mitfoon's Brewhouse with us, did you?
No, I was not allowed.
You weren't allowed?
No.
Oh, dude, it's...
You guys went on a Friday as well, so I would have to skip school.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We always skipped school. But we went to Mitfoon's, and he told a joke about how, like, he compared America, like, Americans looking at the tax rates in Denmark, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'd rather not give away half of my paycheck. Mm. And then he's like, yeah, but I don't have to worry about, like, me losing my business, right? He's like, I don't have to have, like, business savings to, like,
just
save
for reference,
save my company.
The guy having the breweries, American, living in Denmark.
Yeah.
Just for reference.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. He's from Chicago.
Yep.
And he moved to Denmark. Yeah, Eddie. And then he bought a brewery and then made it his own thing, and now it's successful. Great fucking guy. I want to go back to that place. But, he talked about how living in America, the taxes in Denmark are, like, scary to us Americans. But he mentioned, he's like, I don't have to worry about paying for my kids' college. They're going to go to school for free. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry if I get injured. I'm just going to go to the hospital and get fixed. And then I go back home. I don't get a bill. Yep. So he talked about, and if he were to lose his business and lose all of his money, and, like, lose his house, He'd
still be able to live off the government.
He would still be able to live. He would have a house. He would have, a roof over his head, food in his belly. He wouldn't be just completely homeless.
Yep.
So he talked about like the trade-offs of it, and one of the biggest trade-offs for him was that you're less worried in Denmark.
You have a lot more security.
A lot more
behind you.
security, exactly.
Yeah.
So and that's why he was not as worried about life, and
Yeah.
and I feel like living in America it is stressful because you can slip up and get caught in what I like to call poverty traps. Like getting a DUI in my eyes is a poverty trap. So a good buddy of mine, he recently got his second DUI, but when he got his first one, he had to pay like $3,000 in fines, and he got his license taken away for like a month. So he had a shit time getting to work, and he had a hard time getting to work. He had to spend pretty much all the money that he saved to the government to like get his license back and get his car back. And he pretty much was on like probation of not getting another DUI in like 10 years, right? So like he had to be a good boy. Well, he wasn't, and he ended up getting a second one. Now he's paying for a lawyer to try and reduce the amount of fees that he has to pay. And he has to pay somewhere around like, I think he mentioned like $6,000 to $8,000 in fines. And he got if the car that he was driving was in his name, it would have been taken from him. And he's losing his license for up to a year now. So he's getting stuck into this cycle of like, you made a fucked up mistake. No one was injured, fortunately. No one was hurt. It was just he got pulled over and they caught him. He was just a little bit over the legal limit and they arrested him for it. So
that's also a thing I've found out over here. You guys are a lot more loose about, I can have a drink or two when I drive. We parents in Denmark are very strict about that. At least the ones I know.
Okay.
They are like, I went to a party once at one of my friends. The dad came out. Who here drove?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yep, give me all your keys. You can get them back in the morning when I find you fit to drive." So I think a lot of Danish parents at least try to keep you off of driving while under the influence of anything.
I would say people here in America do that as well, but it's definitely dependent on the region. True. If you live in a small town, like let's say for example you live in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, you live out in the country, there's something known as booze cruising, where people get drunk and they go drive around on like back roads and in ditches and take their big ass lifted trucks out into like the fields and shit. And their guns and shoot them off. Yeah. So I feel like it's very dependent on where you're at. But if you live in the city, I imagine any sensible parent is going to tell their kids, "Hey, I would rather pick you up while you're hammered than have you drive home drunk."
Exactly.
So or pick up your dead body. So yeah, it's very similar in that way. But when it comes to actual laws about it, like if you were caught drinking and driving in Denmark, how it is, what would happen to you? Would you lose your license? Would you lose your car?
So, depending on how drunk I was, the rates are different. So, no matter what, I would get a ticket.
Even if you had like a sip of a beer?
If I was over the legal limit.
Oh, if you're over the legal limit, okay.
If I was over the legal limit, depending on how much over, the ticket would increase, of course. So.
Do you know what the legal limit is?
0.2.
Point 0.2?
Yeah, 0.2.
Oh.
So in America, it's 0.08 is our legal limit.
0.02, I think.
Okay. Yeah, Dave's got it. Dave's pulling it up. Just say blood alcohol percentage.
Yeah.
I
think.
0.21%.
Oh,
yeah, do you need more water, Michael? Thanks, babe.
Could we turn off the aircon? I'm kind of freezing.
Oh, are you? We can get you. We can get you a blanket. Yeah, I'll have Callie turn off the air when she gets back. So it's
0.2. Yeah, 0.2.
0.21% and above. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 1.2%.
Oh wow. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's if you haven't previous infractions. So.
Yeah, if you've had a previous infraction in the past 3 years. Okay. So if it's .02, or no, that's .2.
That's point two.
Yeah, 0.2%.
Yep.
Look up. It's .08 in America, right?
Yeah.
.2 is fucking. You're pretty drunk.
Yeah.
You're pretty hammered when it's 0.2%.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. Holy shit.
But that's the legal rate.
Yeah.
If you're above that, like the first couple of, you'll get a ticket, and then with the increasing amount, it can go up to them impounding your car, and you're going to prison for like the night or two.
If in America it's weird because if you get caught driving and the legal limit is .08 and you blow a .081, you'll be arrested and charged with a DUI.
Yeah. So in Denmark you get if you.
Oh, I see. Okay, so in Denmark it says 0.05%.
Oh,
so I imagine that's where if you get a ticket, imprisonment is over 0.2%. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, so if you're above 0.05%, that's when the tickets start.
Okay.
And then imprisonment over 0.2, and if you have like repeatedly getting caught under the influence, they'll take measures to try and make you not drive under the influence. Like you can get a blow meter in.
Yep.
So you have to blow before you can drive and stuff.
Yeah, a breathalyzer in your car.
Yeah.
They actually have that here where if it's your second DUI and driving under the influence, DUI or DWI, if it's your first offense, they usually don't make you install it to get your car back. But if it's your second offense, like to get your license back earlier than 1 year, you have to pay for it, and it runs about like $1,500 to like $1,000 to get it installed. But it's a breathalyzer that goes into your car, and you have to blow in it first before your car even starts.
Yeah, a lot of people in Denmark want the legal limit to be 0.00.
Oh, they want it to be zero, like zero drunk driving.
Zero drunk driving.
Like so,
not even like sips of alcohol.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Just because
it's a bit aggressive.
We don't want there are so many good alcohol-free beers and stuff now. So if you're going out with friends, why don't have one of those if you're gonna drive home?
Because beer tastes like shit.
Heineken has one.
I know.
It tastes like Heineken.
But would I drink a beer that doesn't fuck me up? No.
But if you have to drive afterwards,
well, then
I'll just get fucked up.
I'd drink like pop or something else. Like I drink a water,
but
eat some cheese curds.
But then you have to think again that Danish drinking.
Again, it starts at 16.
So do you guys actually like the taste of beer and alcohol?
Yeah.
That's weird.
It tastes great.
Yeah, I know. They have breweries. Of course they do. I don't know. In my personal opinion, I just find alcohol to be like disgusting in nature, and the only reason that we do it is because it's to get drunk.
Did you ever have breezers?
Breezers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are like the. I want to say they're like a Mike's Hard Lemonade, but it's in Denmark, right?
Yeah, and they taste like pop.
Yeah. But why wouldn't you just?
No, that's Shaker. That's Shaker Original. That tastes like Red Bull.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, those were good. When we were in Denmark, so we stayed at Hotel Garni on like the main road in Svendborg, right?
Yeah, on like the main harbor road.
Yeah. Yep. So we stayed there, and literally like 100 feet down the street, there was a store called Fakta.
Yep.
Yeah, and we would go there, and we would just buy like. Every single day, it was like 12 breezers and fucking all like the fruity alcoholic beverages that we could buy.
Yeah.
We'd buy like a bottle and a case of beer, and then we'd leave. Be like 8 a.m. Fucking no one would even question it, dude. It was awesome.
But that shit tastes good.
That shit does taste good. But do they offer like non-alcoholic breezers?
Nope. I don't think so.
Well, then you can't drink that when you're driving. So why not just get like a a virgin Long Island iced tea or something.
True.
Okay, that's just an Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
But like the whole mentality in Denmark is like if you go to a party, you're gonna drink. So it's easier to be accepted if you drink alcohol-free beer than if you sit and drink pop.
That's fair.
If you drink pop, everybody will come up to you. Hey, what about a beer? Beer. You're like,
yeah.
I have to drive, and people are like, oh, you're boring. And I'm like, okay, but if I pour myself my alcohol-free beer into a glass, and it looks like beer, it smells like beer, and nobody's questioning it.
That's a good point. Yeah, Danes are very peer pressure-y.
Very.
They love to peer pressure the shit out of you. Just a quick little story. I know I've told it a bunch of times before, especially when Tressa was on the podcast way back when. But we got back from Midtfun's Brugghus, the brewery that we went to in the middle of Fyn, Denmark, and you guys were having a party.
Yep.
In the school.
Yep.
That we attended classes for, and it was a fundraiser, which is fucking genius in my eyes. Like, you guys probably make so much money off that shit.
I don't even think it's a fundraiser. I think it was just like a fun party.
Really?
Yeah.
Emphasis on the fun.
Fun, yeah. Not too much about the raising.
We don't have fundraisers like that. That's just a school party.
But don't you guys use the money that you make from that to buy the next round of alcohol for the next party?
But that's just like the little organization within the school.
Yeah.
That like organizes it. Yeah. It's just like the money they get from selling the beer, they'll just use for the DJ and stuff, and the guys at the door and stuff.
No shit. That's badass. Like, that's really cool.
And it's school organized.
Yeah, school organized. So it's like through the school.
Literally a frat.
It's like a school club essentially.
It's a frat.
I wouldn't call it a frat. Fraternities are gay.
I mean, no, like how you're explaining it, kind of sounds like a frat party.
A little bit, I would say. A little more organized. But anyway, we were at that school party, and I went up and purchased a few, beers, obviously, starting off at the party. And then as we were playing beer pong, considering the fact that, like, we kept winning because Danes fucking suck at beer pong, okay?
Yeah. Nothing to say there.
No, it was.
I know I suck for a fact, so.
It was hard to fucking play, dude, because, like, while we were playing, they were, like, talking mad shit. They're like, oh, you're going to lose in, like, 3 rounds. We're going to get balls back every time. Like, they're talking mad shit. And then we go up and we play, like, a 40-minute game because no one can hit any cups. And it's just... and I'm not good at beer pong, but I played enough to where, like, I can finish out a game eventually. It was like the Danes had not finished a game. It just seemed like it was an impossible feat. But anyway, while we were playing beer pong, literally like 15 Danes were like, let me buy you a beer. Let me buy you a beer. And I was like, dude, I have like 3 beers in my hands. Like, let me finish these first. Why don't you come back? And they're like, nope, already got it. Here you go. Here's another one. And like, they just kept feeding me beers at all times. And I'd be like, oh, I'm going to try and work in a water. And they'd be like taking the cup out of my hand and like putting in a beer cup like into my hand. They're like, you don't need water. It's okay. It's like, fuck, dude.
Beer is water.
So not there, dude. Beer is beer there.
Yeah.
Beer's beer
that's
there.
also a thing.
Got water in it.
Barely.
The way we measure alcohol percent is different from you guys.
What do you mean?
So you guys go by volume percentage, right?
I think we
just go percentage.
What's the difference?
Ours is stronger. So if you have a can of beer, 4.6% will be pure alcohol.
So 4.6% of that beer, the volume of that beer will be?
The can.
Yeah, the volume of the can will be 4.6. So we have the same measurement aspect, but I think what you might be confusing is we measure it in proofs usually.
Yeah, in proofs, yeah.
We measure hard alcohol in proof, and that's something that came from like fucking pirate times.
Yeah, so that's probably it. I'm confusing it with, but yeah.
Yeah. So you guys do on average have way stronger beer.
Yeah, I think last time I was over here, and I think we were talking about it. I think we calculated that a normal beer here and in Denmark we have double amount of alcohol in.
Yeah, I would say.
So
So-
instead of like a 5% Coors Light would be a 10% in Denmark?
Essentially, yeah.
Probably closer to like 8 or 9, I would say it'd be average. Whereas like here, our average is like 3.4%. Like that's the type of beer you can get from like a Quick Trip, like a gas station or something.
Yep.
But in Denmark, it's easily 8%. They're thick, heavy fucking beers. It's like drinking IPAs all day. It's crazy.
Like the normal beer is 4.6.
4.6.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say that's very similar to here.
Yeah. The average beer here is like 5.
Yeah, 4.6%, 5%. Yeah.
The highest I've seen is 8, but that's like real dark beer.
Have you ever heard of Dragon's Milk?
Oh,
It's a beer. It's an IPA that's sold. It's like a stout IPA, and it's 12%. And they come in fucking liter bottles. Like you can buy a liter bottle that you can just drink out of and then cap again. It's one of those like glass caps.
Nice.
It is like if I ever want to get fucked up for cheap, I'd buy those.
So we have a in Odense we have a small microbrewery.
Mm-hmm.
It's like under a bigger brewery,
Mm-hmm.
but they make a beer called Stockholm Syndrome.
Oh, fuck. What?
Yeah,
What?
that's the name of the beer.
I'm just loving that counter.
That's a double IPA. With a alcohol percent of 14.5.
Holy fuck. 14.5%? That's like a wine, dude.
And you can get beers with up to around 16 to 18% if you look for it.
Oh, God. Fuck that.
You might as well just drink hard liquor.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the worst thing is they're not like heavy black beers, so you could just like put them down if you want to.
Well, I mean, putting down a Danish beer is hard. So like when you guys when Danes say, "Oh, it's a light beer," it's not a light beer. There's nothing light about that beer. It is.
Our light beers are fucking water.
Our light beers are water, right? Like we can see through our beers. You can't see through a Danish beer unless it's like a Pilsner. But even then, it's still like
That's so
thick as fuck.
Yeah.
And they call it a light beer, and you're like, dude, this is like a double IPA at like a brewery in America. And you're like, that's a light beer. What are you talking about? It's super light. And you're like, what do you mean by light? And they're like, well, we mean like it's only like 8%. It's not. It's pretty light beer. You can drink like 12 of those puppies and make it home on time.
Yeah.
So like I worked at a brewery and our heaviest beer was 11%, and it was dark and thick.
Yeah, it's crazy. So putting down a Danish beer is a whole different world. Talking to an American about beer, they think like Busch Light, Miller Light, Coors Light. You think of like Danish beer, they're like Carlsbad, fucking 12%, and it's black. Like it looks like a cup of coffee when you pour it into a glass.
That's crazy.
It's like drinking a Guinness. You got to chew it.
Guinness is good though.
Guinness is great. I love Guinness.
Delicious.
That's crazy. I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. What time are you guys trying to like head out of here?
I don't know. Like,
Because it's 10:50 right now, so I know you guys want to make it to Mall of America, and then you got to be to the airport because you're flying back to Denmark today.
yep. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. You're gonna have to pay fucking half your body in taxes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you about fast food
Yeah.
as well. Who has better fast food, Denmark or America?
Let me put it back. Who do you think?
It's America.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Tastes better.
But which country's fast food is better for you?
Denmark.
Yeah.
It's actual, like, it's not overly processed and disgusting. Like,
there's a lot of things you put in your guys' food that's not allowed by the EU or the Danish government in foods.
really?
Yep.
Shit, and we eat that shit like what, twice a week minimum?
More.
More, yeah. I would say the average American, but I was just talking about me and her. And
yeah.
Like it's pretty much twice a week for us.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. That is.
But yeah, like
it's bananas.
some restaurant chains have to like reinvent their whole recipe just to get into the European market.
That makes sense.
Is like vegan meat popular over there then?
In certain like groups, I wouldn't go for it, but
Impossible meat. That shit's. I would say that shit's just as processed and just as, artificially built as, like a McDonald's burger from McDonald's down the street.
probably.
It's plant-based stuff, and it just comes from like plant oils,
Yep.
which is essentially how we make a lot of the food, a lot of like the fast food meats that we have. You were talking about Subway, actually. That,
That's a funny story.
Denmark doesn't actually. They consider the Subway bread to be cake because there's too much sugar.
So we don't have Subway in Denmark, but I read an article when Subway tried to immigrate, or not immigrate, but tried to start up in the UK, so United Kingdom, England. They wanted to be classified as a sandwich place, where you have to have bread, but you couldn't find their bread under the bread section because the recipe uses so much sugar that in England it's classified as cake.
That's crazy. And the bread just tastes like bread, dude. Just like bread, and we don't even and I imagine like most Americans don't even know that.
Probably not.
They don't what fucking American, the last person I heard talk about like nutrition facts was a bodybuilder at the gym. And like they have to know that shit cuz that's like their fucking pastime, right? Like that's their hobby. Whereas holy shit, yeah. That's a lot of the stuff that we put in fast food here is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like if you look at a McDonald's burger, you can let a McDonald's burger sit for 10 years and it won't grow mold. It'll look the exact same as
Do
when
you guys
got
still
it.
use trans fats?
Yep.
Probably.
Not allowed.
Not allowed in Denmark?
Nope.
They're trying to cut it out and ban it, but it's not working.
No, I
Yep.
doubt it will. Americans are like, I want my freedom to get diabetes and smoke 20 cigarettes. Like the best, from my eyes, the best interpretation of like a fat American for me is John Daly. Like he's the only public fat American that you can see on like national television just destroy his body with various different just fucking poisons. So he played in the I think it was like the Masters or something like that. Something very recently. John Daly.
He smoked like a whole pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, so somebody took a tally of everything that he consumed during the 18 holes that he played. Because it was like retiree. It was old professional golfers who were retired and they came back.
The picture just to the right of that one.
Yeah. So he's smoking a cigarette, but someone took a tally of everything that he consumed during the match. He drank 13 Diet Cokes.
Yep.
And smoked like 20 cigarettes.
Yep.
In 18 holes.
You're
Zero water. Zero water. That was a part of the tally.
There was a couple of like candy bars. I think it was Snickers.
Yeah, it was peanut M&Ms.
Oh,
You-
It was like 12 bags of peanut M&Ms.
got some protein. Peanuts.
Your guys' previous president had a button on his desk for Diet Coke.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like-
He fucking had the entire Miami college football team come to the White House and he ordered McDonald's.
Yeah.
He was a fat fuck. He ate fucking KFC like every day or something like that. He had chicken for lunch.
Have you seen the videos of people doing the Donald Trump diet challenge?
No, is that a thing on YouTube right now or
It was.
it was probably? And
It's yeah, you don't want to watch that.
bro, he's like 80 years old. Well, I guess when you got all the money in the world, you can treat your body like shit and probably stay healthy. I mean, look at fucking Dick Cheney. The motherfucker had like 5 heart attacks and then luckily his brother died and was able to get his heart, or his cousin, I think. But yeah, just ate like shit for pretty much his whole life. Yeah, no, that's fucking crazy. Well, you mentioned the president.
Oh my god.
You mentioned the president, and I do want to talk to you about presidents. Because I just understanding.
If I say something dumb, I am not into American politics whatsoever.
Okay, that's fine. And
There's any American.
well, I mean, a lot more people are into fucking politics now. But So don't worry about what you say because we're just having a conversation. That's really all this is. We're not trying to come up with some profound fucking intellectual thought that it's going to be quoted on like the next Jordan Peterson podcast. Like we're just shooting the shit, man. That's pretty much all we're doing. So, but you mentioned presidents. So I know when I was in Denmark, I had a lot of conversations with you and other people, including your parents, about Trump.
Yep.
About the president that we had at that time, and now we have Biden. So a lot of people in Europe did not like Trump.
No.
Like that was pretty much consensus across like the entire European Union was like, fuck Trump.
I think
And with America.
I wouldn't say all of America. There was a lot of America that loves Trump.
The Bible Belt loved him.
Trump has merch. Nate, tell me another American politician that has merch.
Obama.
With what? What did Obama have for merch?
Soap, underwear, condoms.
I didn't see a single fucking person wearing an
He went to
Obama hat.
Washington, D.C. when he was president.
Well, that's I feel like that's different. That's people making Trump made the fucking merch himself. The MAGA hats.
Yeah.
Those are
That's different. I didn't know that you're talking about like president specifically made.
that is probably just as the MAGA hat is probably just as common as finding like a Nike hat here.
Yeah.
Or like a Carhartt hat.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're
yeah.
very fucking common. So like America loved and hated him, but he was just so polarizing.
Yeah.
So polarizing, and that's why like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are into politics now because of Trump being in office, and don't get me wrong, he was not he was not like somebody you would want to lead the most powerful country on the planet. He's kind of an asshole and like a
Little bit.
comedian. Like he's closer to a comedian than he is a fucking politician.
Yeah.
And like an intellectual person.
Yeah.
But I mean, the way we have the president office set up in America, like getting them into office is just kind of like a popularity contest. So pretty much anybody can be fucking president.
Yes.
It's like that Idiocracy movie. It's very like similar to that
Yeah.
aspect. Like that's how I see where we're going. But what
Also,
was
you guys are going off a two-party system. Like, you only have two candidates you can vote for.
essentially you can write in and you can
I know you
write
can
in
have like
candidates.
more, but there's two big parties, and if you're not from there, you're not gonna get in office.
Yeah,
that's just how it is.
and that's a problem. That's
That
a
is a
serious
problem.
The bipartisan system is pretty much destroying the initial constitutional understanding of like how this country was going to be ran. Like George Washington himself literally warned us about a two-party system and said like if you go to this, shit's going to get fucked up.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but from what we know about the founding fathers now, that they didn't fucking teach me in in like middle school and high school. Like in middle school and high school, they taught you that like George Washington never told a lie and he was chopping down cherry trees and shit. And it's like, no, that guy had that guy had slaves. No, Washington chopped down the cherry tree. Lincoln could never tell a lie. You're right. That's right. Got that wrong. But Washington had fucking slaves.
Yeah.
And he like fucked prostitutes and ran guns. Like he was a thug in the eyes of authority at that time.
Yeah.
They tarred and feathered like politicians that came from or not, I should say like monarch politicians. So I wouldn't know what you would call them, but like essentially like a House of Representatives member from like the kingdom of the UK. They would like tar and feather them if they stepped out of line. They'd like fucking literally pour hot tar on their body, pour feathers on top of them and let them die in the street and be like, this is what happens when you step out of fucking line.
Yep.
And so the founding fathers were 100% thugs in that regard. It's just crazy. So something we were like, that's not taught in public schools here. That no one brushes over that unless you have like an independent teacher that's willing to go into depth like that, into the actual history of the founding fathers. And they actually grew marijuana too, which was nutty. But but yeah, we got a little off topic there. I forgot what we were talking about. But yeah, so back to like the president's thing. So what do you think of? I mean, I imagine I can I can pretty much assume you guys didn't like Trump.
No.
You
I didn't.
and you don't like Trump.
No, I can only speak for myself,
Yeah, of course.
obviously, but yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of Trump.
Okay.
Just from like the way he acted and yeah.
The shit he said,
Yeah.
calling Kim Jong Un little rocket man, you know.
Yeah, and also just like he would go up and speak, and then if you fact checked him, 90% of what he said was pure bullshit.
Yeah, when he would say like I'm the greatest, everyone knows it, that type of stuff.
Yeah, but also some of the things where when he would like throw out facts and stuff about, yeah, we're gonna do this, blah blah blah, this, and it's gonna be like this, cause this. If you fact checked him, most of it wouldn't be right.
Yeah, that was actually a good point when he would talk about any sort of like significant issues and try and like. He was trying to make justification for the wall, I think, is like the specific portion that you're referencing. And he was talking about like how many immigrants come over the border every single day. And he like overinflated the numbers significantly. It was like 5 or 6 times like the amount of people that come over the border. And then he like tried to throw out a number of percentages of how many criminals are, or how many people that come from come over the border end up like causing crimes and are caught for them. And he like inflated those numbers by like double what they actually were. So yeah, a lot of the things that he said were incorrect. But then at a lot of times when he was being interviewed for, or not interviewed, but they would bring up some like political issue that had to do like with economics or had to do with, really anything along those lines that the rest of, or that the opposing party didn't agree with. They would try and bring out, like, the reporter would say something like, 5,000 Americans or 15,000 Americans every year are killed by AR-15s or something like that. And he'd be like, no, that's bullshit. And then he would say the number, and they would be like, no, that's not right at all. That's not where I got my information from. And then he would straight up pull up the facts. Like, he had people on staff that had those types of facts in their back pocket. But when he was giving like public addresses and shit, yeah, a lot of that shit was like not, or his tweets. Yeah. Even his tweets are ridiculous. But like public addresses was where he was like the most incorrect most of the times. So yeah, you guys didn't like Trump. What do you guys think about Biden?
I don't know. Probably a bit better than Trump, but I think there's people more fit than him.
Yeah, I would say so. I personally just think he's too old.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Maybe you should have. You should have a guy not be like having to get everything written down like dementia.
Yeah.
That's probably not a person you want to run office.
No, you don't. I think there should be like a cognitive test that. Yeah, like there needs to be a cognitive test for somebody in a political power like that. And then also, on top of that, Joe Biden has been in Congress for something crazy, like 50 years. Like he's been in the political sector for like 50 fucking years. He's a lifetime politician.
Yep.
And that just tells me as like an American citizen that his job is not to his job's not to do the right thing for the American people. His job is to get reelected. Yeah. So he's going to do anything he can to get the most amount of funding and to get office again, because that's how he makes his living, right?
Yep.
That's how he makes money.
Yep. So
I think that personally in the US we need term limits. We need term limits for just any sort of politician, Senate, House, presidency. We already have one for the presidency, but like the Senate and the House, I think definitely need term limits, and we need age caps. Yeah. We definitely need an age capacity because we have an age limit, right? Like we have a minimum age that you can be to be president. We have a minimum age you can be to be a politician, like House or Senate.
Isn't it like 32 or something?
It's 35 for president, I believe. David, you want to check that?
It's either 35 or 40.
Yeah, it's like 35. You have to be 35 or above to be president. And there's other requirements, right, which makes sense to be the the leader of the country. So I don't think a cognitive test would be outside of the realms of being. And the craziest part about the Biden cabinet is that it's not Biden himself that's lying to people.
No.
It's his like media it's the people that are speaking on his behalf. Like
Yeah.
Vice president
for
too.
yeah, and the vice president. So like just an example of that is when they had their new press secretary come up and do a speech, or not a speech, it was like she was answering questions and like doing a press conference, I believe it was. The press secretary was asked a question, and this is the new one. This is not Jen Psaki. This was somebody else. But she was asked a question. They're like, is the president going to be fit to run, in 2024? Like, is he mentally going to be all there? And she literally was like, what are you talking about? Like, I can't even keep up with him. And it's like, you're trying to fucking gaslight us into telling us that this 84-year-old man doesn't have fucking dementia?
Yeah.
Like, he is so lost that I personally, he's unemployable to most other jobs. Like, even
Yep.
working at McDonald's, I don't
Yep.
think he would
Nope.
be hired for something like that if he was just a regular schmo on the street.
How does retirement age not like coincide with like politics?
It doesn't, because a lot of the people that have been in politics forever, they want to stay in politics forever, because after a certain point of making all the money that you possibly can, you're now no longer driven by the money. I feel like you're driven by the power. And once it's just human nature. Once you get power, you don't want to give it up. And historically, that has been proven time and time again. Like, look at Napoleon Bonaparte. Look at fucking Genghis Khan. Look at Julius Caesar. Like, you can go back even further and see tyranny in every single country, where I imagine the public back then was like, that'll never happen. That's not possible. So it's weird, man, because they're like trying to gaslight us and tell us like these things that we're seeing are not like the truth, And then like the U.S. came out with their own Ministry of Truth, which is supposed to like fight foreign disinformation, misinformation, and it's supposed to like kind of set the tone of like what's true and what isn't. But I don't think that's the government's responsibility. I think that's the responsibility of the public, the people themselves. I think once you allow the government to say, nah, that's not true, that's not correct,
Or just
and
have,
nobody's
like medias do the fact checking. Like, I know that, but have like a independent media who wants to let the public know what's actually true.
Mhm.
That's probably how you would get the most accurate news every time.
You want to know something that's crazy about like most major media corporations, like most major news organizations and stuff like that? 70% of their ad revenue, 70% of all television ad revenue comes from pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah,
Like Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson.
I believe
like they essentially are paying the media companies to stay in business. They're giving them pretty much all the money. That's how they make money, right? Is they get enough viewers to get ad revenue,
Yep.
and that's how they're making money. Is the companies are giving it to them. So
Yep.
if those major news organizations want to do like a reporting investigation into, like, let's say Pfizer for malfeasance of some sort of drug, right, that they're
Yep.
trying to release, they're not going to want to sponsor, CNN anymore if they run that story. So the problem is like you have to have like independent journalism.
Yep.
But the issue is like when you have independent journalists, every single day they're trying to be taken down or like, not vilified. What the fuck is the word? They're trying, like, people are trying to like take away their career.
Yep.
Because they're an independent journalist, and they're also saying things that go against the norm.
Yep.
That go against like the narrative that's being pushed. And it's just a gross system. So the problem with it is that like people only really see the major news organizations because they control the media market.
Yep.
They see MSNBC, they see Fox News, they see CNN. The problem is like other people have a reach, but they only can reach so far. And only the people that are looking for those things, that have the time on their hands and that actually care about the real truth, are going to seek them out. Whereas like the average American that's just like trying to work and feed their family and, you know, go on vacations and stuff like that, they're not going to spend the time to go find those people. So they read a CNN article when they wake up on Yahoo News.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh shit, okay, yeah, like, I don't know, just really anything, like anything that can be told by those media corporations. For example, one of the major things that I followed, because I'm a big, I'm a big Joe Rogan podcast guy. I loved him when he was a comedian, and then I started listening to the podcast when I started doing more desk job type work and stuff like that, just to pass the time. But they kind of like went after him over the ivermectin thing. Do you remember that at all? Did you ever hear about that?
I don't think so.
It had to do with COVID in general. So when Joe Rogan got COVID, he let out like a public statement saying like, this is, you know, I got COVID. This is what I took to try and get rid of it. And it was recommended by like doctors that he knows and virologists and stuff like that. And he had ivermectin on this like big list of things that he took to try and get himself to be better. And the news companies like took that and they're like, oh, Joe Rogan's taking horse medication to fight COVID. And they like ran a story with like, they kept saying like horse dewormer. And it's like, ivermectin's not just a horse drug. Ivermectin has been used all over the world. It won the Nobel Prize in like 2000 or in the early 2000s for, you know, its antiviral properties.
Yep.
People use it in, I think, the Amazon because you can get a virus from swimming in a lot of their like rivers and stuff like that. You can get like a super deadly virus that like travels up your dick.
Oh yeah, that's a little worm. That swims up your urine
You're
tract and infects your bladder and stuff.
Yeah, so like people use ivermectin to treat those things.
Yep.
And they were calling it like horse dewormer and pushing this narrative that like it's, you know, people are going crazy and like raiding veterinarian clinics to try and get this stuff just because Joe Rogan said something about it. And so like they were kind of lying in that way in my eyes. They were like telling a false narrative. Because it is a horse dewormer. It is used for that, but it is also many of other properties. And why did they just focus on the one thing that was in the list that he posted? He didn't just say like everyone needs to take ivermectin because that'll save you from COVID. He never said that. He was just like, hey, this is what I took. Ivermectin's on that list. And they even went as far as running a story that turned out to be completely untrue. The story was that there was a hospital, I believe in like Wyoming, that got overrun with people who were getting ivermectin poisoning because they were saying like people just started taking it because Joe Rogan said something about it. And then somebody who read the article actually called up that clinic, the specific clinic that they had mentioned in the article. And they were like, what are you talking about? No, we've had like one case of ivermectin poisoning in like the entire history of this clinic.
Yep.
And that was because somebody was prescribed too much ivermectin.
Yeah.
So there's like a narrative that's completely being pushed in like major media organizations that's not entirely true. And they're backed by, you know, some of the most corrupt companies that have ever existed in American history.
Yeah.
Like, just for example, Pfizer came out with a drug. I forget the name of it, but Pfizer had a drug that came out and it ended up in the clinical trials, the drug was actually negatively impacting people, but they knew that it was going to be a really profitable drug because it's a common issue that it was trying to treat. So they released it anyway, and they ended up killing around like 30,000 people from releasing this type of medication. Like that many people died from taking that medication. It's literally proven. So the federal government fined them $3 billion. But from the entire process of them releasing that drug, they had actually made about $9 billion. So in all reality, after all the fines and everything like that, they walked away with $6 billion and a slap on the wrist.
Yep.
So those places are telling our media organizations like what can and can't be aired.
Yeah.
That should raise red flags for you immediately. That should tell you like, oh, probably shouldn't be taking this at face value.
That's why you have to do your, like, when you hear something and you
Mhm.
think this doesn't sound right, you have to check up yourself because nobody's gonna do it for you.
Exactly. You have to look it up for yourself, and then that's when people get into this mentality of, are you a doctor? You know, do you know what you're talking about? I trust the experts, and it's like that's not at all what like science was founded upon.
No,
Science, in my understanding of science and like the
trial
actual
and error.
definition, it's trial and error. Exactly. When a study comes out, that study is not like fact. It's not scientific fact until it's been tried and tried and tried and tried again in various different ways to try and break it.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially what a peer review is they take the same study, try to replicate it. If they can replicate it, they try to modify it in some way to get some, additional information from it. And then they'll release that as another study. And then it's like, oh, that article, the study that was previous to that, that was peer reviewed. So now it has some value. So let's peer review it again and again and again and again.
Yep.
So trusting the experts that's essentially a religion.
And again, who's your like experts? Like when it's a media outlet, who's the expert there? Is he a doctor? You can ask the question again there.
Yeah.
Or would you go down to your local doctor and be like, hey, what do you think about this? That's an expert.
Yeah. But trusting the experts, in my eyes, is a religion.
Yep.
Because, you'll even ask scientists who are like physics experts. You'd be like, would you trust a study that you only ran once? They're going to be like, fuck no. There's no way. Anything could go wrong. So they run it 100,000 more times to make sure that they get the same output.
Yeah. So like,
All the scientific method.
It's
Yeah,
a scientific
exactly.
method.
like my
Like ulcer.
yeah, my professors are like, yeah, even if you do it like 100 times, might even not be right.
Yeah, it might not.
Even if you get the same numbers every time, might not be right because you can have some way or somehow have something impacting your experiment.
That you didn't account for.
Yeah,
Because we are just people, right?
we are just people.
We make mistakes even if you're the most highly educated person
Yeah,
on the planet. So
You're just insane.
or you're just insane. Oh man, yeah, it's a weird world we live in,
Yep.
dude. It's very weird, and the fact that independent journalists are making a large come up because a lot of independent journalists, they tackle the issues that we should be talking about.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people wouldn't have found out that like the Iraq war or that we didn't have weapons of mass destruction unless we had independent journalists go over there and say like, yeah, Iraq never actually had, weapons of mass destruction.
No.
They never did. So like this war was essentially for nothing. And that's why, like the Bush administration will never see office again because of what, they caused. That wouldn't have been found out to the American people if somebody didn't go over there and do their own research and then report back with journalistic integrity. And that's something we're losing in this country, and I feel like we're losing it all over the world too. And it's just money and power that's causing it to fade away.
Yep.
But independent journalists are on the up and on the come up because of the fact that like the American people are now seeing that the major news organizations that they trusted in the past are not necessarily the most trustworthy sources.
I have a fun story about news gone wrong.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So you guys know there's a war in Ukraine and Russia, right? There was a Russian news reporter. He was out on the side showing this new, very fancy cannon, like a mortar type of thing, that could just shoot and shoot and shoot. What he didn't think about is Ukraine can still watch Russian news, and he essentially gave Ukraine the location of this new like super weapon. So under 12 hours after the newscast had been brought out, the weapon was bombed by Ukraine, and then the Ukraine Minister of War, he tweeted out, "Thank you for the location. Keep up the good work."
That's awesome. So you think that's news gone wrong, or do you think? I mean, I'm in support of Ukraine personally.
I'm in support of Ukraine, but it's Russian news gone wrong.
Oh, Russian news. Okay, yeah, that guy is probably either in prison or dead now because Russian government's fucked.
We'll find him in somewhere in Siberia in 50 years.
Yeah, he'll be frozen to death just under the ground. It's yeah, that's that's fucking weird, man. So yeah, news is odd. I know that in Denmark you guys kind of have this weird, because I when we would talk politics when I was in Denmark, right? You guys would talk about your political figures as if they were like purely public servants. But a lot of people in America look at politicians as, you know, the voice of the people. Not a public servant in a way, but somebody that can lead the people, like a leader, a boss, somebody that makes the rules and tells people to enforce them, right?
Yeah.
That's how like people in America view politicians. But would you say that's accurate? Like Danish people view your politicians as public servants, people who should be, you know, thinking about the public's interest when they make decisions.
That's the ideal thing thought about them, but I know it's not true.
That's fair.
Like, that's what I hope they are, but they probably always have somebody in the pocket saying, "Hey, want some funding?"
So you would say like corruption for governments just across the board? It's all countries.
It's not corruption in that way, but like everybody needs funding, right?
Yeah.
Money gotta come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And some parties, like most parties, will get money from the government, but to get to that point, you'll have to be a big party. So you'll have to, and at that point, people are like, yeah, hey, you want a big party? You want a big something for your next get together?
So it's money. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's money, but then we don't want to be communist. What are we gonna do? We have no profound thought for you guys. Sorry. If we had some sort of, if I ever get Jordan Peterson on the podcast, he'll come up with some fucking thing to leave on, I guess, because we're just shooting the shit. That's all we do. Yeah, man. Would you ever want to go into politics? Do you think that's something you could see yourself doing?
Nope.
No? Why is that?
It's not for me.
Okay.
I don't want to be bashed every day for my thoughts.
For your thoughts and your views on certain things and the way you vote and yeah, me neither, man. That's why I don't even want to be like remotely famous, even though I fucking do a podcast, which is kind of in itself hypocritical. But I don't know. I just look at like, have you ever seen the show TMZ?
Nope.
It's essentially like a news organization that follows around celebrities and just like keeps track of what they're doing and shit. And celebrities have like zero privacy.
Yeah.
They're out in public doing something. Everybody knows who they are. Everybody wants a picture, wants a photograph, wants fucking signed autograph stuff.
I would like to just be a normal guy who hopefully has a lot of money and can just do shit.
Exactly. That's the move. But then there are people out there who want to be loved by everybody.
Yeah.
And they want to be famous.
Yeah, keep that away from me.
And then the moment you become famous, not everyone's going to love you, right? Like there's going to be people out there that just want to shit on you for the sake of shitting on you. And
Kardashians are a big example of that.
yeah, and it can seriously damage some people. Like it really affects them in a negative way.
Yeah.
It started with the OJ
Yep.
trial.
Started with Robert Kardashian, the OJ trial.
Being the lawyer.
Making fucking, what was OJ paying in his trial? I think he was paying something like $100,000 a day for his lawyers.
And he's like still going through trials.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it. Fucking deserves to be in jail. But hey man, it's 11:30 now. I know you want to get to Mall of America and then you got to get to the airport. So I think we should probably wrap this up.
Sounds good.
It was great talking to you, Mikkel.
Great talking to you too.
Glad to finally get, a foreigner on the podcast. And not only a foreigner, but my fucking brother from another country. So, good shit, man. Well,
Brother from another mother.
brother from another country. That's how I call it. Thanks a lot,
Across
man.
the world.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in, man.
You're welcome.
Good shit.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody.